was
pretty
crazy.
A little bit more incredible landscape than
I know.
backdrop.
Now we're back in the office, and it's still cool. We got our nice and city of wood things, and this dirty, white for the whiteboard. So perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So welcome to another episode. We're here.
Oh yeah.
Don't want that sound coming through. So, all right, we are back for episode 6 of SaaS Coach Live.
Moved to a new conference room.
New conference room today.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving around. We've been thinking about shooting more kind of off-site type stuff since we were in the Salt Plains of Utah last week.
Fun.
So we'll probably be doing more of that, which hopefully will be fun. But today we are talking all about
screenshots and product tours.
Yeah.
So for SaaS companies, it's really about, I think, creating that great impression of your product and software. And if you talk to most people that buy software and look at it, if there's not good screenshots and there's not a quality product tour, you are not going to get them to take action on like a free trial or a purchase or anything. So
Absolutely.
This is another one of those simple tips, but I think a lot of people underestimate the value of it when they're putting together a site.
I think when I think of the product tour and the screenshots, one of the last episodes we talked about kind of the experience at the site matching up with the product. I think that's important, the brand consistency and feel and experience. But so many SaaS companies spend a lot of time on user experience.
Yeah.
And now is the first chance really to show some of the things that are unique or where you've spent that time, what's valuable about that time spent on the user experience with those screenshots.
Well, I think that's one of the challenges. If you're a very heavy dev team, you may not have great screenshots, so your instinct is, well, let's not show them.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a death blow to conversion. So that's why there is some level of importance to putting the time and money and effort into a great user experience, a great visual for your software, not only because it increases retention, which if you look at stats, retention is like the number one thing to success for software companies.
Yeah.
But not only does it increase retention, but it is on the front end to increase that conversion too, because when you're showing it off, that is the first impression people get to say, hey, this looks like something that I'll enjoy using, that I've got. And those screenshots in that product tour, I mean, that's the impression that they are giving. And you basically don't want to put yourself in a situation where someone says, well, I'm not sure, or this doesn't look like something that I really would enjoy using.
Yeah. So what are some things that people take away from this as far as using screenshots? We'll start with screenshots first, right?
Yeah.
Product tour is, I think, a super important one, but screenshots might be something that people think about as much because the product obviously something I think everyone walks through. But what are some tips as it refers to?
I mean, they're kind of integrated. The screenshots are part of a product tour.
Mm-hmm.
And product tours really take different forms. You can have the popular like tabbed approach where you're looking at certain features and you're kind of tabbing through. You can have the gallery style where you're looking at a feature and clicking around. Today, a lot of modern softwares are using the longer scrolling pages. So you get to a page about the features or about one aspect of the software, you can scroll down and you're seeing information about that something specific as well as the screenshot. Mm-hmm. And then even moving into now where people are using video and GIFs to kind of show someone moving on the screen or how it's actually being used. And so when I think we step back to screenshots, it's the idea of, what's the best media to portray your application. And I think, adding any of that animation or that activity really significantly improves the user experience for the visitor to the site and can give them a sense of how the application works so that then when they're making that decision to sign up for a free trial or whatever it might be, again, it's solidifying in their head, okay, this seems like a good fit, it seems professional, it's something that will solve my problems.
Yeah.
And then the product tours are really, like I was saying, there's a lot of different ways you can do product tours, but they're really just taking that media and assembling it correctly. The way that you want to present your tour, I think, just depends on where someone is in a buying cycle, how you're presenting it to them. I've actually seen on sites where they have several types of product tours. Maybe on a homepage it's a tab interface so someone can see the high level of the product, but then you can go to a features page where it gives you much more in-depth insight, and that's a scrolling one where you can have a little more text next to an image. So there's some different strategies that you can use, but the key is, I think, how do you portray your product, its features, its benefits in the appropriate way?
Most people are visual, so the screenshots, the product tours are just, especially when someone's looking at an application online, just having something that is a visual that shows that it's simple to use. It's an obvious way to follow step by step, whatever the process is, whatever the application. One of the best ways to demonstrate that is by just showing it. So
well, it's like e-commerce. If you go to a site now, I mean, in the old days you could go buy a shoe and you could pick it up and you could look at it. Well, e-commerce now has 30 images of all the different angles. Maybe they've got something where you can rotate it. It's got reviews, all of these things that describe it in better ways. Reviews now have customer photos. I mean, people just need to have that tangible experience. And so just saying what your software does, or providing like minimal screenshots or using only illustrations, it's just not enough for them to have that same tangible feel that they need for any product or any purchase.
That's a great point, though, like the e-commerce, shoes. I think it's the more immersive, the better, right?
Yeah.
So the more senses you can get involved, the better. And same thing goes for SaaS.
Yeah, you want to give someone that feel before. I think, we're going to see some interesting things with software, too, in the future of people, instead of a product tour, you see freemiums, or I'm, seeing a lot of softwares now where it's like one step click into a freemium version that you can just do a couple little things on. It's very simple. And so it's really about how do you reduce the barriers for someone to make a decision, reduce those number of steps. It's how do you, we talked about this last time a little bit, increase confidence to make a decision and decrease risk. And so screenshots, the tour, how you use media, all of those things combined together are increasing confidence and reducing risk. And even if you're looking at a freemium software where it's easy to sign up, people still want to get that sense of it before they click that button to do it.
Have you seen any instances of a company holding back maybe a tour? Maybe I've seen ones where you have to sign up for a demo and actually schedule a time and whatnot. Have you ever seen any instances of that working better than when it can be shown up front?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, a buying cycle. I always look at, there's different tools, and so things like videos and screenshots can be good for awareness in social media. Your product tour is really for those people in the middle of the buying cycle. They're doing a little bit of due diligence. And then your demo, especially for enterprise software or more complex products, you really need that demo as that next step, but it's further along in the buying cycle. And so you've got all these different things you look at, again, kind of media, product tour, demo, freemium. You have to look at, I think, how your software, the type of software that you have. If you have a more complex software where it's going to take a few months for someone to get it set up, and they've got to do a lot of integrations and things, you really have to think of your model. The demo is what you're trying to drive people towards, but you still need that product tour. Versus if you're doing the freemium model, again, I think that's just kind of the reverse of the demo
Yeah.
for smaller softwares, but you still need that product tour for, again, looking at the buying cycle each stage.
So they can and probably should coexist then, I guess is the
100%. Yeah, I think it's hard to think of the scenario where it's a one or the other.
Yeah.
I just think for people that are even doing demos, to get someone into the demo, which is almost, again, comparative to the free trial or the freemium version, you have to have the product shots.
Yeah.
Because demos, to me, I mean, are the free trial for a more complex software.
Yeah.
You can offer free trials if you have a very simple software that you can go in and someone can easily figure out on their own. And that's a challenge with things like, we use a project management software.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about that, for me to buy this, I've got to get buy-in from multiple people. I have to put some projects in and test it out. That's the type of software that it's hard, even for a free trial, for it to work well, because I get into the free trial and it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You really, in that scenario, even if you offer free trials, you should also have a demo that when someone gets into the free trial, that you push them into the demo as well. So there's some strategies around all this of how do you use the media, how do you use the product tours, freemium, free trial, demos, and I think it has a lot to do with the types of buyers, the types of software, the length of the buying cycle, but all of these tools need to be used in tandem to, again, what we talk about the most, increase conversion into the app and then increase sales of people moving from either freemium or free trial or demo into an actual paid customer.
Yeah.
So I think it's very strategic. This is that stage that's so strategic.
And we won't necessarily get into it now or today, but I think you alluded to earlier the point that the experience and retention, right? So we talk a lot about conversions, but for SaaS companies, such a big thing is you can get a bunch of people to sign up, but will they stick around, right? And I think we'll get to that down the road. But
but I think it's worth touching on. I mean, if you look at statistics of successful SaaS companies, it's the ones that can improve and hold on to retention.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you get 100 users a month, if 50% of them are not staying on, you've got a huge problem and you're just not going to grow.
Yeah.
And again, there's some great stats. I think even on our SaaS Coach site, we put some stats out there that are about how important retention is.
Yeah.
And so for us, a lot of times when we're looking at software companies, it's great to drive traffic and get conversion up front, but if someone goes into a trial and they're not converting into a sale, or someone even converts into a sale but they only stay on for a month or 2 months, it's really bad for the business.
So they're missing that kind of activation kind of piece right at the beginning. We had that meeting a couple weeks ago about one of our clients that were focused on that, right? And
well, we were looking at the critical number for them. They came to us and said, we want to increase number of users. That's great, but that's kind of a vanity, arbitrary number.
Yeah.
We came back and said, okay, our metric is daily active users.
Yeah.
And the reason is that really the goal that we want are to see that 1,000 people sign in every day, and that's the number we're getting to, because who cares if we get 100,000 people to sign up, but only 50 of them sign in every day.
Yeah, we need that utilization.
Yeah, utilization, because otherwise that means they're not paying for it, or they have a freemium version and a paid version, so we're looking at free daily active users and paid daily active users, and really looking at that critical path. Yeah. So retention is huge.
It's all stuff blends together. I know we moved
does.
a little bit away
moved
from
off a little
product
bit.
tours, but
nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And just some tips within our guide that we have. We have this SaaS conversion guide for websites, but don't be stingy. I do think lots of screenshots. Keep them organized. For me, it's really, you don't just throw them on a page. That's where a nice product tour explains features and benefits in some sort of story model and helps people understand how it all fits together. Leverage animation. I think we are getting to a place where we're just going to shift from people doing static to doing more animated or video based. Again, I think that level of expectation is just going to start going up over the next year or two for software companies. And then finally, just user experience. We talked about this in the beginning, but if you're the type of company, you have a bunch of developers working on the product, don't assume that just because it's got great features, that means people will want to use it, keep using it, or it will attract people when they're in that sales process.
This is your chance for show and tell, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to sell itself. You have to demonstrate and point out the great features,
right,
what they mean to the user.
And I think that's hard. It's hard for some SaaS founders and tech people. Their brains work in a certain way, and then the thing that we've seen a lot is they know it. If you build it, you know it. You know the value. You know where to go and what to do. I think one of the challenges is if you get someone in there that's never seen it, doesn't understand the concept, what's their impression visually, feature-wise? And so hopefully, if you're a smart SaaS founder, you're getting lots of feedback and bringing in experts to truly understand what's working and what's not.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Is that it for today?
Yeah, I mean, that's really most of what we wanted to talk about, and we went off on a couple tangents, which is always fun. But yeah, I really think when we're talking about these 10 principles that we have for how you create killer SaaS websites, you just cannot deny the fact that great visuals and a great tour that explains the features along with the benefits is just a major impacting factor to conversion. And so it's very simple. There's not a lot of complexity to it. But it's one of those simple things that a lot of people say, we'll get to it later, or it's good enough, whatever. And that's not truly the case. It's not good enough.
It has to be a priority.
It
can't
does.
just be an afterthought.
Yeah. And I really think this is one of those areas that a lot of people see as that afterthought. I actually just had that conversation with a client recently where, we're trying to increase conversion, and it's, we're not ready to look at the UI. We're not ready to look at the UI. And they think that it's okay, but it's impacting how many people move to that next step.
Yeah.
And so whatever the cost is of the user experience to improve it or the time, I guarantee there's ROI on the front end of increasing conversions into trials and demos and sales that will pay 10 times back on whatever it costs to improve the UI.
Yeah.
So
if that resonates with you, if that sounds like something that maybe you've been a little bit guilty of, putting some of these things off on the back burner, I would recommend you go to SaaS.coach. We have the killer, the guidebook for creating killer sites. Download that. We have more content. All the episodes are there at the site.
Subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when we've got the next one. This is every Wednesday at 11 o'clock.
We dive into each of these principles, so if you're having a challenge with putting them all together, the guidebook has all of them and the tips, but we kind of go a little bit deeper and kind of put them together on the show here. So tune in, ask questions, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you again next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week, hopefully from another new fun location. All right, guys, have a great week.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.